And Construction Union, that's AMCU, gathered at the Royal Bafokeng Sports Centre near Rustenberg to be addressed by their president, Joseph Mathunjwa. To everyone's relief, the 5-month strike has officially come to an end. Some may be of the view that the outcome for the mine workers is victorious. Labour analyst Michael Bagraim joins us now from our parliamentary studios in Cape Town to talk about the strike and to see whether it's a victory or not. Michael, welcome. Good to have you on the programme.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, let's cut straight to the chase. Is it a victory or is it not a victory? What is your interpretation?
Well, I don't think there's any victory here at all. The bottom line is everyone loses. Certainly the country loses. We've lost almost 10 billion rand to the fiscus. The employees are the biggest loser because it's going to take them 10, 15 years to catch up, even with the increases, to what they've actually lost out over these 5 months. The mine bosses, the employers, have lost big time. And I think the country has also lost out over and above the fiscus. The country looks like it's going to suffer a lot in the future. One good thing that's come out of this, obviously, it's focused everyone's attention on the mining belt. It has focused a lot of us to have a look at the plight of the workers, which is a real problem, and we can't afford to have that again in the future. And also, I think what it's done is it's focused the employers to say, we've got to make these mines pay. We might have to close down shafts. I think they're going to have to mechanize a lot. They're going to have to look at the way of doing business. And in fact, obviously, they're going to have to try and sell one or two of the mines. And I know they are on the market. The real problem is that in the long term, the workers have not gained all that much out of this exercise. I know that Mr. Mathunjwa has deemed this to be a great victory. He has to. Otherwise, people are not going to come to the party and sign. And it's a major relief. Where the real victory is, this has come to an end. It's now 5 months to the day that we've had this. The country's been bleeding. This has not been a small wound. This is a major wound to our economy. We can't afford it. And we couldn't afford it after the first month.
Let's talk about this now. Just some of the comments that were made yesterday, because a lot was said. Joseph Mathunjwa says, to quote him, "This is an achievement because most workers will achieve 12,500 rand even before the wage agreement lapses. Other unions signed for a 400 rand increase over 2 years. What other unions have failed to achieve in 20 years, AMCU has achieved in 5 months. Your dignity is being restored." That's what he said to the miners. So the interpretation, having a look here, is I understand what everybody's saying about when we look at everything on paper now that perhaps it wasn't such a victory in this day. But when we look into the future, is this perhaps not making working conditions better for the miners moving into this industry?
I think there is some value to that. And yes, as I said, a lot of us are now going to have a look at the mining industry itself and say, we do need to start considering the plight of the workers. They're going to have to improve the working conditions, have to improve the living conditions, which is a big thing. A lot of the miners have come there and living in absolute squalor. So yes, there's a victory in that. I'm just not so sure that for the workers themselves, for the man at the coalface, as it were, he's not going to gain all that much, and that's the problem. Mr. Mathunjwa has sacrificed many of his members for this victory, and I call it a minor victory. He's also created a big split between the workers themselves, NUM and AMCU. That's going to take more than a decade to try and heal that one. And the other problem that we've got is that the workers themselves are now indebted to loan sharks. Their families have suffered. I'm just not so sure. It's almost a generation that is going to suffer because of this. And I'm not so sure that one can deem it to be a victory. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. It is going to be good in the long term for the mining industry, in the sense that now the mines have to start concentrating on the workers and have a look at what is functional and what isn't functional. I suspect, and I don't want to be a bad loser on this one, but I suspect we're going to have more strikes.
Yeah, that was my question to you.
I suspect we're going to,
Do you think there's going to be
we're going to have those retrenchments?
And a ripple effect?
Of course. Well, there's going to be a ripple effect, and there is going to be more strikes, but more importantly, we've got to have retrenchments on the mines.
Yeah.
I don't think Joseph Mathunjwa is going to be all that keen to take that lying down, and the workers are going to look to him for leadership and say, well, now what? Now we've got the better jobs, but there are less of us on the mines. Yeah. What's going on? And he's going to try and protect the individual workers, and it's not going to be. We have to go through a major retrenchment exercises.
Now,
of course, also what's happened.
Let me just. I know there's so much to talk about, but we've got very little time. We saw our Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that government shouldn't get involved in strikers, that they shouldn't interfere, and yet we've seen our economy entering into negative growth territory due to this strike that has been the longest in our country's history, and it's been absolutely devastating. Even if you look at our economy, the growth, our currency, I beg your pardon, everything associated with it. Do you think government should play a role or not? Do you think a backstep is the way to go?
Well, you can't just stand back and say, listen, we're going to kill the economy and watch it go downhill. So I think Deputy President Ramaphosa is wrong in his exercise. Of course, the ideal would be to let the parties sort out the problems themselves, and that's the whole nature of the Labour Relations Act, and that is to have negotiation and sort it out. The problem is that government cannot let an industry such as mining just go slip downhill. It's a slippery slope, and we've seen what's happened to South Africa in the exercise. Our rand has taken a major beating. The government, I think, was very wrong to step back and say, well, we can't get a solution, so we're just going to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
That's not on. And we need to look at our Labour Relations Act once again.
All right, Michael, we have to leave it there. Thank you for your analysis. Thanks for your opinions on this one. And now South Africa entering into even more of a strike season. We've got threats of NUMSA downing tools. I'm sure we're likely to see more labour tensions, even though this one has come to an end. So there you have it. That's the AMCU strike. Michael Bagraim in our Cape Town parliamentary studios giving us his analysis.